What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Strength Coach Rants. I'm your host, Connor Lyons, and today we're going to be talking about why you shouldn't be using a traditional power bar to bench with, and you should really be using a fat bar.
I don't want to hear you, 'cause you cannot master the strength.
All right, welcome back. It's been a long summer. We are nearing the end of it. I think the kids go back to school next week. Some of my athletes will be here through the end of August before they go off to like prep school or junior or college. And now it's time, or I'll have time rather, to be able to do more of this. I think we've only done like 3 episodes in the past like 3 months. I did one a couple weeks back about the OVR velocity and how much I liked it. And then a couple way back at the very beginning of the summer. And it's been too busy. It's been really a struggle to find time to sit down and do these things between being at the new facility and spending time with my family that I really haven't been able to do for the past 4 years. I just haven't had time to do this. But now that it's lighting up a little bit, we'll be pushing more of these out, and we'll be getting back to the great strength debate. About 30 coaches lined up for that. Just got to find a time that we can sit down and do it. Got some good coaches that want to get some good ideas out there. But again, being a strength and conditioning coach, it's tough to find time where 2 coaches can sit down and talk. That's not really pulling them away from their family. So as the weeks go on, we'll start lining more of those up and getting a lot more of those done. Before we get going, again, I do this every time, and it's actually been pretty good because we've been selling a lot of books. So go check out the Dynamic Effort Method for Athletes, Total Hockey Training, and Simple Strength. They're great books. They're great reads. You can buy them on Amazon, or you can buy them on my website. If you're a strength and conditioning coach that is looking for ideas on how to program and get the most out of your athletes, these are 3 great books, especially if you're a hockey coach. The Total Hockey Training is a great read. I even break down the LTAD and the ADM and how awful they are and what we really should be striving for instead. But go buy a book. We'll link it in the description for you. But today we're going to be talking about the fat bar or the axle bar and bench pressing. So for, probably the last 10 years, I've gotten really into utilizing fat bars with my athletes. Now, in the beginning, it was just a rotation of movements, like a variation of the bench press that we would do. But what I found was that my athletes, 9 times out of 10, were significantly stronger with a fat bar, and I couldn't figure out why. It is until about 8 years ago, I had a conversation with Mike Hedleski, or the Hamburger Trainer. I talked about him on this podcast before. Super solid follow on Instagram or TikTok or on the YouTubes. He's always coming up with really interesting studies and breaking them down. So go give him a follow. But I had a conversation with him, and he said, well, everybody always says that it's better for the shoulders, and I can't figure out why. There's not an EMG study that says it's better for the shoulders. The whole open hand argument that coaches make that makes it more sports specific, in my opinion, is nonsense. But what Mike said really kind of made a lot of sense to me. So you've got a bar path when it comes to your bench press that is about, if you're not watching, you're listening, it's about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches thick. And that is going to be where your leverages are best, and that's going to be where you can stay safe while performing the movement. Now, a barbell is not much smaller than that, like 2 inches, right? So if you get outside of that bar path with that bar, you're going to pay for it, meaning you're either going to miss the lift, or you're going to put yourself in a position to get hurt, or you're going to have to grind out a rep in a bad position. Now, what the fat bar does, because there's more area to this bar, right? So we're talking about a bar that, you could probably wrap your hand around and touch your fingers versus a bar that is going to be half open when you have your hands wrapped around it as much as you can. Significantly thicker, will have the ability to stay within that bar path even when you get outside of it. And I'll pull up a video to show you what I mean here. Again, if you're listening and not watching, I'll do my best to explain what I'm talking about here. So here I am set up for a bench press. There is a white line on the screen. All right. Whoops. That jumped way too far forward. That white line represents your bar path. All right. And it's not very big. It's not very thick. It's like right below the nipple line to straight up towards the ceiling. And you can see even a couple times, there's no weight on the bar. Just wanted to be able to show this here. Right inside that bar path. There's not a lot of leeway there. That's not like a perfect bar path line, but you get what I'm talking about here. If that bar gets outside of that bar path, if it goes above it or below it, now all of a sudden I don't have good leverages anymore. Not everything I push like into the ground is going to go into the bar. Now, here is the fat bar, right? So fat bar is significantly thicker, meaning that it has a lot more surface area, meaning that it will stay within that bar path even when you get slightly out of it. So now you can see here when I come down on the bottom, right? That bar is barely staying within that bar path, yet you can see, and I wish I could like point to it here, you can see that the force vectors going up into the bar through my hand are still well within that bar path, right? So that means that my leverages stay good and they stay healthy and my shoulders stay healthy, even when I don't like maintain the best possible position. And why this is important when it comes to athletes, right? They're not power lifters. They're athletes. Their skill set is not powerlifting. It is, and always will be, playing their sport. What we do in the gym is meant to amplify their sport movement skill and meant to amplify their abilities on the field. They don't need to be power lifters, so we don't need to train them like them. However, athletes do need push strength. And I'll tell you what, there is a study that shows that the bench press, believe it or not, for overhead throwers, the more power you can produce on the bench press, the harder you're going to be able to throw the ball. Now, I don't know if this is correlative one way or the other, right? So maybe guys who can throw the ball hard are powerful on the bench, or if guys who can produce more force on the bench are able to throw the ball harder. There's not a lot of baseball teams willing to lend out their baseball players to test this. But having athletes be able to bench while maintaining good leverages and being in a good position and making sure we don't get hurt benching is such a win, because there are programs that just won't allow it. But if I can explain to you, like we'll pull this video up again, right? If I can stay, and I'm not right there, within this bar path, right? Once the weight gets heavier, I'm going to be able to get a lot stronger. Now, this is easy, right? That bar there's no weight on it. There's no shot. I'm going to get outside that bar path. And I'm a strength and conditioning coach who does this for a living, right? I'm not an athlete who just kind of trains on the side as something to help them play their sport better. Now, with that fat bar, though, I'm going to stay within that bar path even when I get out of it, meaning my leverages are going to be better and I'm going to have better outcomes when it comes to bench pressing. So if you are an athlete, right, and you're not using a fat bar or an axle bar when you bench press, I want to know why. There's so many benefits to it. You're going to be able to load the bar a lot heavier, especially you're going to be able to train at heavier loads, because the heavier loads is where we tend to get out of position. So if I can still maintain being in that bar path with that fat bar, it's going to have nothing but positive outcomes for me, right? So this is a very short episode today. I didn't have a lot of time, but I wanted to get this out there because Donnie Thompson posted a video of like the fat bar that he made, and he's like, nobody wanted to buy it. And I'm like, why the hell not? Why is this not standard? The fat bar should be the standard when it comes to bench pressing. It's not even debatable. If you're going to bench press your athletes, you want to increase their push strength because it's going to help amplify their sports skill. Why the hell would you not use a fat bar? I don't get it. But so sounds like my dog's going pretty crazy. It was a quick episode today. I got a couple more lined up in the coming weeks. Just wanted to get this out there again because I think everyone should be fat bar or axle bar pressing when it comes to the bench press, and I will die on this hill. Keep checking back. Again, like I said, Great Strength Debate is coming. Go check out a book. I'll link some stuff in the description to the website to read more about this kind of stuff when it comes to the bench press. I hope you all learned something in this very quick episode, and we will see you next time.
I don't want to hear you, 'cause you cannot master the strength.